The kids love it. Bright colors, new furniture, lots of space. Anybody, even adults, when you get to be in a space that feels good, that you can see outside, there's natural light, the kids love that. I think most people would love to get out of that box of a classroom and get to be in a space where they can do what they need to do in order to make themselves grow as learners.
Tomorrow's world demands a whole different kind of learner and worker.
When your great-grandma lived in a world where TV didn't exist, and now you're going to school and you're having the same schooling experience as your great-grandma, when you now live in a world where not only does TV exist, you can watch it at any time, anywhere, pretty much on a device that you could carry in your pocket. Any information you want to know is at your fingertips.
We're in this new building really thinking about what it means to educate a person who's going to grow up in the 21st century in a global society, which is a very different way of teaching and learning than we've had for the past 100 years.
Teachers do not hold all the knowledge anymore. We are the facilitators.
As you move through life, self-regulation and goal setting is the #1 skill you need. You can always go back and relearn who was the president in 1864, but if you don't know how to set your own goals and pace yourself and understand how to keep yourself on track, then you're sunk.
You have to be able to collaborate. You have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to know how to use technology.
PK Yonge Developmental Research School is charged with the mission to figure out innovative ways of teaching and learning and help spread that mission to other schools.
If we had students and teachers continuing to work in isolated ways in individual classrooms where the teacher stands at the front of the room and tells students what it is they need to know, and that students work in isolation to master what they're being told, they won't be prepared for tomorrow's world.
We really embarked on this grand experiment to figure out how to prepare our students for the changing world and what's coming next for them.
We needed to think about the ways in which space is organized so that it can support the flexibility that needs to happen around teaching and learning, to support the flexibility in the ways in which we group students.
Okay, so you say you're in 4th grade or 5th grade. When else in the whole wide world, when you're an adult that your age, because you are 40 years old, that means you can only do this. And when you turn 41, then you're allowed to do this. That doesn't make sense in the real world.
So a small learning community is a way in which we have combined 2 traditional grade levels into one small learning community. And we're better able to differentiate instruction for kids based on their needs in a larger range of ages.
Because all 132 students are doing math at one time, and all 132 students are doing reading at one time, we can look at all 132 of those students. We have 7 teachers. What do we need to do? Doesn't matter if you're in 4th or 5th grade. Who needs what? And let's create differentiated groups in order to do that.
It really depends on what the students' needs are, is how we respond to that, and we're better able to be flexible about it because we don't just have 4 walls with 1 teacher and 22 students.
We've been able to put them into groups based on specific skills, not just, oh, they're having a hard time comprehending a text, but which text? You know, we can make a poetry group, we can make a nonfiction group, we can make a fiction group, and it's okay if only 3 students are in that group because we have so many different places to break the students into.
So what you'll see in a lot of instances in learning communities is kids spread out all over the community, kids working autonomously.
The clear expectations on how to be a self-regulated learner. I'm going to teach you this, but now you have a space that you can go out and choose where you need to sit because you need to decide what fits you as a learner. Go sit there and go do it.
You can see from being in this space that We have large open spaces for students to be able to gather, have large group gatherings. But when the student needs this quiet space or we need to work with a small group, you'll notice that we have rooms that allow for that as well. There's just been this whole misconception that we are an open concept school with no walls, where there couldn't be anything further from the truth. There are a lot of walls.
There are walls, but the walls are transparent. You can see through the glass to observe what's happening in other places. When you walk in this space, what you see is that there are no hallways. So all of those spaces that used to exist in schools where you had equal-sized classrooms connected to a hallway corridor have now just moved the walls around a little bit.
The architecture supports the kind of learning that we're trying to change.
So because the space is different, because they're in a learning community, and they can see each other teaching. We can regroup kids across the day because teachers are in a fishbowl together, and that's where their desks are versus alone in a classroom. The level of collaboration that's happening amongst the teachers is completely different than the level of collaboration that was happening prior. And because the teacher collaboration is at such a high level, then we can focus on practice in a completely different way, and we can really have discussions about instruction and, more importantly, individualized instruction. What does each kid need in order to be the best that they can be?
We can really work at meeting the needs of each student, just differentiating in every way possible. When there's 4 brains versus just 1 brain, we can think of a lot more ideas instead of feeling like we have to do it all.
The biggest part for teachers is that we see each other. So there's a lot more communication that is involved.
It's affected my teaching just astronomically. We can just see what everybody's doing and we can ask questions. The different ways that we all do things become a communal pool of knowledge. It's such an enriching experience to be able to really live in a space where the other teachers can influence my teaching. I can influence their teaching. We all have strengths, and we're able to give away a little bit of our strength to each other and gain from the strength of others.
Teachers coaching teachers, kids coaching kids. You can see kids having more independence too, and I think that that's good for kids.
I think the evidence that our building is something amazing is just in the students' faces and also in our parent feedback. Our parents will tell us that their kids come home every day and say they had an amazing day at school, they love coming to school, they don't want to be sick because they don't want to be absent. Their teacher needs them to be there.
We have created a building where kids cannot wait until the door opens in the morning. When you walk in that building, you see such engagement and enthusiasm for being in school.
We've just seen kids really immersed in the learning in a different way that wasn't possible because the architecture didn't allow for it.
The world is being invented and reinvented and innovated at such a rapid pace that if we can work with our learners on our campus today to know how to organize themselves around goals and how to monitor themselves as learners in accomplishing those goals, then we know that they will graduate from here better prepared to lead and to work in innovative and creative ways that can make a real contribution to the future of our world.